Hey Jacinta, hi David. Warm
Hello.
welcome to F45
Hey, hey.
Highgate's Squadcast. So we have a very special guest with us this morning, UK time, evening in Sydney time, Jacinta. So perhaps Jacinta, tell us a little bit about who you are and how do we know you?
Right. Wow. When I met you, I was actually living in London, and that wasn't too long ago. Probably like, God, actually, how long ago was it?
You were just down the road from us too, weren't you?
Yeah, literally. Um, I don't know what, 2 months, 3 months ago, I was
Yeah.
living in London, and then had to rush off to Australia. At first Perth, and now I'm in Sydney. So I basically wanted to be a trainer at F45, but then David was like, no. So
Scared him off.
I scared her off
We're-
to Australia.
yeah, so I left, and now I'm in Sydney. But basically, my background is my degree was in health science, sport and exercise. So I played a lot of sport, mainly netball. Growing up, my goal in life was to be a professional netballer.
You played in World Championships,
Um,
didn't you?
no, I nearly
Well,
did. So
you were meant
I
to.
yeah. So my dream was to go to the Commonwealth Games for Fiji, but I did my ACL, so that was out. But so basically my dream in life is to be a netballer. So I went to uni, I studied sports science. I got my degree, then I just did random work. I worked in a few gyms, and then I went back to uni um, at a little bit of an older age, and I did my postgrad in human nutrition, and I worked as a nutritionist for about 3 years. And my main sport nutrition was my kind of gig.
Wow.
And I
I bet you I
yeah
could beat
I
you though about studying for too long. I studied until my mid-20s, so
Oh,
I'm sure.
really?
Yeah. Anyway, that's another story. That's another story. So you're a like a proper nutritionalist, right? You've also been advising clients.
Yeah, so I've done a few things. So when I was in New Zealand, I was really lucky to be an intern for a dietitian. She's a well-known dietitian, so I worked alongside her, and I learned a lot from her. And then I was a voluntary nutritionist for the AFL New Zealand team. Do you guys know what AFL
Oh
is?
yeah, of course.
Aussie rules.
Yeah, yeah.
Aussie
So
rules where there is no rules. Just beat
yeah,
the
pretty
bejeebers out of
much.
each other.
Yeah. Honestly, I don't know how they do it. They're so fit, like they run everywhere. It's just, yeah, it's
Fantastic
crazy.
sport.
Yeah, so I was the volunteer nutritionist for them, for their lead up to the World Cup, and I did a bit for my team for when I played for Fiji. I did a little bit of nutrition stuff for them, and then did it for the general public. Just about when I was in Auckland, I did that for about 3 years, just with weight loss and people who had issues with diabetes, high cholesterol, things like that.
So in these
Yeah.
days of isolation, we're all stuck at home
Mm.
in different parts of the world. As a nutritionalist,
Mhm.
what kind of nutrition practices are you doing? Like, honestly speaking.
Wow. I know what I should be doing. What I should be doing and what I am doing are a little bit different. But basically, I mean, I'm going to be honest. Um, my alcohol intake, I don't know if I should say this, but it's increased. Not dramatically. I wouldn't say as bad as Dave.
Oh,
um,
we're going to go to David in a second on this one.
um, that's something that I'm aware of. I think there are a few bad habits that have crept in because I am stuck inside and situations have changed. But I think the fact that I'm aware of them and I'm kind of I'm not going to be stupid and say I'm not going to drink, because that's not realistic. So I've kind of decided I'll cut it down to maybe like drink twice a week. just making it realistic for me. So that's kind of one thing that I'm trying to do, and I'd advise others to do as well.
Fair enough. That's very honest of you. And just as I say that, my wife just come 10 o'clock in the morning and grabbed the candy kittens already. What about
candy kittens? Are lovely.
Candy kittens are quite nice. What about you, David? As an expert personal trainer and should know better. What about you? What kind of practice are you doing at the minute?
Everything has gone out the window, and I know exactly what I should be doing, and I'm still not doing it. Yeah, I'd eat a candy kitten now, to be fair. Literally everything's out the window. I'm staying up too late. I'm drinking too much. I'm not eating at the right time. So then I like waking up, eating, getting all my classes done, training myself, having lunch and having some sort of structure, but I'm not eating till late. And then I'll find myself, just eating the wrong thing. My energy levels throughout the day are terrible. I'll stay up. And it's not like I'm getting drunk every night, but I'm just drinking like 2, 3, 4 beers fairly often. And I'm just like, what am I doing? And then it doesn't have an effect straight away. It's sort of like the accumulation of 4 or 5 days. And then I think Monday, I was just overtired, undernourished, and it was just all my own self-doing, which I beat myself up for, because I'm like, I'm feeling bad because I'm not treating myself properly. And then you start beating yourself up over that. But then, as Jacinta said, you need to find that balance. That I'm not going to stop having fun. Going and chatting to my mates and playing poker and doing quizzes and drinking and stuff is my entertainment at the moment. So I'm not going to stop doing it, but it is about that balance. And I think prolonging stuff to the end of the day when you don't need to be as attentive and you don't need as high energy. So it's pointless eating a chocolate bar at 2, 3 in the afternoon to then feel shit for the rest of the day. Do it when you're slouched on the sofa, watching a bit of crappy TV. It's just all about time and place, isn't it?
It is. And don't say there's any harm in rewarding yourself and feeling good, particularly in this kind of environment, because it kind of sucks being stuck indoors. But probably the big one that we're all missing is the change to the daily routine, right? We would have had a very consistent routine previously, and all of a sudden now you're stuck at home. Do you sleep in? What time do you wake up? What time do you go to bed? For me, I still try to do my workouts every morning, and it's great to do those F45 live workouts with the Highgate gang, and that gets me going to bed, waking up in decent time, and kind of structures the food so I can do the workout. But Jacinta, what's your view around having a bit of structure and routine to try and keep us on the right tracks?
Yeah, I think it's so important. I love the workouts that you guys do. So you do them in the morning, but for me, that's after work in Sydney. So it's around 4:30. So I've just finished work. And that's when I really don't want to do any sort of exercise because I'm so tired during the day. But having that there, I'm kind of forced to do it, and it's really good afterwards. I always feel really sorry. I always feel really good about it.
Yeah, you got a can of Heineken in your hand at the same time.
Yeah, no, I actually don't. I promise. But yeah, and then in terms of, it's good to structure your meals as well. The other day, which I try and do, but the other day I didn't eat until about 2 o'clock in the afternoon. And then I was so hungry, and all I ate was like really bad food, chips, chocolate. So I think having structure with your meals is so important because you might not be hungry in the morning, but I know if that's the case and I don't eat, I'm going to binge on the worst food in the afternoon. So structure is really, really important when it comes to your meals.
So talking to a qualified nutritionist, do you suggest you should eat when you're hungry, or should you eat in a more structured way?
That's a good question. So
my wife always says just eat when you're hungry, which is exactly why I asked the question, because I say eat in a structured way.
Yeah, I mean, it depends on what works for you, but when you eat when you're hungry, it's important to understand why you're eating. So we don't just eat because we're hungry. There are other reasons why we eat: when we're stressed, when we're bored, which we're bored a lot during isolation, when we're sad, when we're tired, when we're angry. There's all sorts of different reasons why we eat. So it's not necessarily because we need the food. So that is where structure is important, I believe.
Good answer. Good answer. And so I find ourselves when we're in isolation, and certainly over here in London, there is a little bit of a restriction and a bit of social pressure as well about not going to the supermarket as often, try and do your weekly shop. And so we go and buy loads of carby stuff,
Yeah.
rice, pasta, bread, stuff like that. Now, personally, I don't digest carbs particularly well. So if I have a diet full of carbs, I'm beginning to bloat up a bit. Do you think, or do you advise clients to try to balance the macros, as they say, across proteins, fats, and carbs, or do you think you can pretty much eat whatever's on offer and just try and figure a decent recipe?
It depends. So, like, I think just keep it really simple. So, when I was working in New Zealand for our DHB, which is the similar NHS is what your equivalent would be, we always advise our clients the plate model. I don't know if you have anything similar to that in the UK, but basically, with your
model,
main meals. Yeah, so half of your plate should be vegetables, and that's the non-starchy vegetables. So, broccoli, cauliflower, carrots, food like that. And then the other a quarter of your plate is your carbohydrate. So that could be your potatoes, your bread, and then the other quarter is your protein. So your meat, or if you're a vegetarian, your chickpeas, lentils, things like that. So I think it's really important just to keep it simple as possible.
No,
How
fair
was
enough.
the plate within the DHB? Because one of my friends is actually campaigning to change the Eat Well plate in the UK.
What are they changing?
I think just completely restructuring. Whatever they tell you to do, I don't know. I'm not a nutritionist, so I'm not going to comment on it. But she's actually campaigning against it, and she's been out to, I think, Austria, wherever it is that they go for the commissioning to do it. So, was it as a nutritionist, was the DHB one good guidelines and advice? Yeah.
I think it was good because it kept it simple. Are you talking about the plate model, or are you talking about the food pyramid?
No, it's the plate model, but it's more than just your 3 macros. It breaks it down slightly, and some of the stuff is addicting.
Oh, really? Okay. No, I'd be interested to see what it is. So, I mean, when I was dealing with clients, it was just keeping it basic. So I felt like it was good. But if you wanted to be more specific, there is room to be more specific with that. But I just like that model because it's very simple and easy to follow.
I find it quite hard at the minute, where particularly in the UK, there was a big push in January after Christmas to go plant-based. And we kind of did in our household, and it was good actually. Well, it was okay for someone who doesn't particularly like vegetables, but I find it very hard in isolation to go and get loads and loads of vegetables, because really they should be fresh. And if you're going to the supermarket once a week, it's very, very hard to go and get lots of fresh vegetables and store them and keep them, and then they just end up going bad and going off, and you really don't want to be throwing stuff out in this climate.
Yeah.
Any views on micronutrients, vitamins?
Yeah.
What should we be really thinking about in this environment?
Yeah, so obviously micronutrients, so what you get a lot from fruit and vegetables, are really important because we need to keep our immune systems as strong as ever now. But obviously we needed to do that before as well, because it's very important in general. So yeah, getting most of your micronutrients from your fruit and vegetables is important. Paul, you talked about vegetables going off, and you're worried about buying bulk, but frozen vegetables are just as nutritious. So that's another option you can use.
That's a good idea.
To get more vegetables in your diet. A lot of people think they're not as good for you, but they are.
Okay, well, that's interesting. What about you, David? What are you up to in terms of keeping your immune system strong?
So one thing that I do regularly is have a morning turmeric shot. I don't know, actually, is there many vitamins and minerals in there? I take it for inflammatory purposes. Inflammatory.
Like some of your comments.
No, I am very conscious about getting my fruit and veg in as much as possible. I don't know, but again, it is hard, like, because I don't want to buy fresh stuff all the time. I do have frozen vegetables in the freezer. I have frozen fruit. Mine's just routine, really. I know what I should be doing. It's easy to say it, but that's at the moment, trying to tell people what to do. But I'm like, I can't even do it myself. So how am I expecting people to do it? Which is why personally, I'm going to sign up to our challenge, because I need, and it's a personal preference, I need some sort of structure. By me saying it, I'll document it on my social media channels, and it just makes me accountable, because if I don't do it, then I just don't like going back on my word. So for me, I need the structure, and it will make my exercise better, it'll make my eating better, it'll make my mood better, it'll make my productivity better. So yeah,
and I'm quite keen to do that as well. I feel I'm kind of eating too many carbs, but I'm gonna do this challenge, and this isn't a big sales pitch, by the way, for the F45 challenge. Personally, I'm going to sign up and commit to the challenge, but I'm going to sign up to a food delivery company to deliver food in Monday to Friday for me, because I know that way, like, I don't like cooking, I'm not a very good cook, and I just couldn't be bothered most of the time. So if it's delivered to me, and all I got to do is go and stick it in the microwave and pop it out, then I know in there that it's reasonable quality food and it's reasonably nutritious. And if I eat in a structured way, I'm not going to binge snack and all the bad stuff. But on a Saturday and Sunday, I'm going to cook my own stuff. I'm looking forward to having a bit of variety, having a bit of fun with that. So that's what I'm going to sign up to do. And Jacinta, to try and close off a little bit, any kind of final bits of advice around goals, planning, structure in these days of isolation?
Yeah. So just what David said about the like having the accountability, I'm the same. So a lot of us, we know what we need to eat and know what we need to do, but it's just doing it. So I think that's why the challenge that you guys are going to be doing will be really helpful, just to stay accountable for what you eat. And in terms of like finalizing, I've kind of written down some things that are quite important to keep your immune system as healthy as possible right now. So we've kind of covered it all, but I'll just summarize it. So increase your vegetable intake, fruit and vegetable intake, mainly vegetables, because they've got the micronutrients and the antioxidants we need to keep our immune systems healthy. And one goal you can try and achieve is to try and have 1 to 2 handfuls of vegetables with every main meal that you have. So that's kind of something I'm going to try and do. And I know you probably think, oh, I don't want to eat vegetables at breakfast, but things like adding spinach to your eggs on toast is just another easy option. The next thing is reducing your processed foods and alcohol. So you don't need to eliminate it, but just reduce it, and that will help with decreasing your inflammation.
Did you hear that, David?
No, I think my signal's broken up. I missed that one. Can you balance alcohol with turmeric?
Yeah, I was going to say, you've got your turmeric shot. So
do you think you can join house party without alcohol intake?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I can. When I spoke to Jacinta on house party, she was drinking. Just saying.
Moving on.
Next, yeah. And then obviously gut health is really important during to keep your immune system healthy. So you don't need to, because I know these foods are expensive, but if you can afford it, like fermented foods, so kimchi, kombucha, things like that are really good for your gut health. Yogurt's another cheaper option. The next thing I wrote was stay hydrated, because water removes toxins from your body, and just in general it's important to be hydrated. Plenty of rest, avoid stress, which is a little bit hard during this time, but I guess meditating is a good option, and exercise, which we are doing with you guys. So those are kind of the summary of keeping your immune system as healthy as possible during this time.
Great advice. Thank you, Jacinta. And David, any final bits of advice or thoughts on your side?
just want to. So from that, I got, if you're going to make a drink, make it vodka, kombucha, and turmeric.
Get a bit of spinach in there, a handful of spinach.
Yeah, yeah.
Sorted.
Oh, God.
There's your next house party. Sorted.
I think it's just being very sensible of what you're doing. We all know what we should be doing. It's taking the pressure off yourself. Don't be so hard on yourself. Like I nailed a tub of ice cream last night, and I knew while I was doing it, it was the wrong thing to do, but it felt so good doing it. So I just think, for me, I know personally that I'm all or nothing with everything I do. So I'm probably going to binge till the end of the week, being realistic. And then as soon as Monday, like it's Easter Sunday, I've got a massive chocolate egg to eat. And then as soon as Monday comes, I'm going to get back on it. What I will say, Jacinta, though, is there any, I guess, any facts behind a certain amount of days that you need to cut something out before you find it easier? So say like sugar, for me personally, I find it super difficult for like the first 5-6 days. And then as soon as I hit that week, I'm like, actually, I don't need it. And is it anything to do with, I don't know, you tell me. Is there any science behind it?
Do you know what? I don't know too much about it, but there are a lot of people that say that, you know, after 2 weeks that you start not craving the sugar. I guess it just depends. Like if that is the case for you and you know that, then obviously it works. But I don't know. I haven't actually looked at like any proper studies on it, so I can't actually comment. But I will. It is interesting.
There's lots of stuff on YouTube on that one. I've done it personally. I went off sugar for a while, and it took me about 3 or 4 days to lose the cravings. And I had a bit of a sore head and a bit of a fuzzy head actually in day 2 and day 3. But after about 2 weeks, I just started to actually not like sweet stuff. Kind of went off it.
Yeah, I mean your taste buds adjust. So I guess if the less, what am I trying to say? The less sweet things that you eat for the longer periods of time, your taste buds will adjust.
Your palate adapts to it. Yeah,
Yeah,
one of the big discoveries I found was cacao, by the way. So weaned off milk chocolate, get into cacao, 100% cacao, and absolutely love it now. And so my change of milk chocolate into dark cacao. In fact, just had cacao porridge this morning for breakfast. Delicious.
Oh, wow, nice. Yeah, you can easily do things like that, like slowly adjust your diet. So yeah, you're having less sugar. Oh, Claire's just sent me a TikTok video. Sorry.
All right, so listen, on that front, we should let you go and have a look at the TikTok video. Hope it's not one of David. But listen,
I actually haven't watched any of his yet.
Yeah, I'm not sure I would recommend it. Anyway, thank you very much for joining us, Jacinta. You have a lovely evening.
You too.
And look forward to seeing you soon. Thanks, David, for joining us.
No worries. Take care.
Thanks, guys.
Cool. See ya.
Bye.